Like this, we depend on our friends and good friend Tony Frabotta, UHY Advisors chairman, working closely with the managing partner Thomas Callan and with a couple of guys that I work with now on my taxes, Keith Moore, partner CPA, and Jonathan Shoemaker, CPA. They by the way, Tony, they are on their toes and doing a nice job, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad also that we all got a reprieve until July 15th.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Paul. Yeah, that's probably the easiest thing that's happened with the government right now is the extension of everybody's individual return to July 15th. And again, the caveat there is if you got a refund coming, you want to file, you want to get your money. But if you don't, or you don't have time, or you're busy with other things, you have till July 15th, and then you have to pay your taxes at July 15th. There's no extension of that past that date. So anything you would have normally owed April 15th is now July 15th, and there's no interest or penalty as long as you pay it by July 15th.
Now, and so that people understand it, because you just said it, but I want to underscore that. If you're getting money back, get it done faster and get your money back. So that's all good. But when you say there are no more extensions, you know how some people, I'm not talking about me, all right, I am talking about me. Some people always take that automatic extension. Is that now gone because of this extension?
No, that still applies. You can still, if you can't file by July 15th, you can extend. And you got the automatic extension. You can extend all the way to October 15th unless they change that date. But right now you just file that extension. You still have to pay the tax if you don't.
Right.
And if you can't pay the tax, still file the extension or file the return because you eliminate one of the penalties you might otherwise have to pay. You're going to pay interest. You're going to pay late payment penalties, but it won't be as onerous as not filing or not filing the extension. So the due date now is July 15th, but the extensions still apply for anybody to get things done.
Excellent. Now, the Federal Reserve, because as you say, this is maybe the simplest thing, and it was a smart thing, and believe me, extremely important that the governor also extended the Michigan tax, because you couldn't do your Michigan tax without knowing what your federal tax, well, you know the rest of the story. So now both Michigan taxes and the federal taxes, the date for filing and paying July 15th. Now, the Federal Reserve released initial details on something called the Main Street Lending Program, designed to get liquidity into the middle market businesses. We've heard a lot about the small businesses. This is the middle market businesses. I think we're talking about companies with up to 10,000 employees or up to $2.5 billion in 2019 annual revenue. But this is to help middle markets recover from these difficult times presented by the coronaviruses, and the businesses may be able to apply for a Main Street loan even if they have already applied for that PPP we talked about earlier, the Paycheck Protection Program. Can you tell us about that, Tony?
Yeah, that has just been announced. That's a $2.3 trillion dollar program. And what's important about that is the let's call it the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program. That's under 500 employees. There is, as Andy mentioned, relief if you use all the money for payroll. If you don't, use it all for payroll. You could have a loan amount that you owe back over a couple of years. But the primary purpose of that is for payroll, to keep people employed. This program here is for companies, as you mentioned, up to $25 million in loan from the backing. You still go through, your bank and the SBA. The amount, though, is backstopped by the Federal Reserve. There's all kinds of caveats in that, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm giving all the facts. There's a lot of information here, but the primary thing is the Federal Reserve backstops the bank. The bank makes the loan. Many companies coming out of this crisis do not qualify under normal banking. So this will eliminate a lot of those qualifiers. The bank makes the loan. The federal government basically guarantees it. The loans are unsecured in many cases to the lender, and they're over at favorable terms, favorable interest rates. And this is important. The Paycheck Protection Program. You take the money in, and that's again, I heard your success story at the firm. We jumped on this right away with our clients, and I know it was like the Wild West. I mean, hour after hour, everybody in the firm, everybody in the bank, every bank, including some bank presidents, were processing loans because everybody was on this. This program is still open, by the way, till June 30th. Now, as they said,
if they've run out of money.
Yeah, it was like the Wild West. Everybody wanted to get in first, and feeling that if I don't get my portion of this, I don't get it. So hopefully the government will come out with some more money that will help these businesses. So that program is still open till June 30th if there's money. This program, they're still taking comments on it through today, but it has been approved. And when a business starts up again, they don't have cash flow. Let's talk about your restaurant. They got a perishable inventory. They have to buy inventory. They have to get customers to come back. The customers come back. If it's a manufacturing plant, they have to open up the plant. They have to get more inventory. They have to make a part. There's a 60-day period. They ship the part, and then there's 60 days after that before they get paid. It's called working capital. There's no cash to do that. They've used up their cash during this downturn. That's why it's so important that we get back to work safely as soon as we can. This federal program now will give them that working capital.
How do they now? We got to go, but Tony Frabotta, UHY Advisors chairman, how do they get more information on the Main Street loans, or what's the next step or the first step that a company needs to do? And these are companies, by the way, that created or organized in the United States with significant operations in and a majority of its employees based in the United States, as it should be. A principal and interest deferred for a year, adjustable interest rate, prepayment permitted without penalty, 4-year maturity. But where do they go now?
Well, I think the best thing to do is call your financial advisor, call your banker. The banks are all on this. The firms, UHY is on it. You can go to our website. I will say the law firms in town have been giving out a lot of free advice, and I applaud them for that, as we are. So if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, we can get you some information. But I would say you get to your financial advisor and you get to your banker. The banker has this information, and I wouldn't wait.
Yeah. How do you subscribe to the UHY newsletter?
You can subscribe by just going to our website, UHY-US.com, and sign up, and we'll put you on our newsletter. And again, I would get to my banker. These sizes of these businesses have relationships. I know the banks have been overwhelmed, but they're catching up, and I would get on the program. Now this program, the new Main Street Lending program just opened up, so it's time to get on it, and it's time to get to work.
Very good, and I think this is how I found out about this, from being on the list for your newsletter. I highly recommend it. Go to UHY-US.com. Sign up for the free newsletter. Thank you, Tony.
All right, Paul. Take care. Be safe.
You too, Tony Frabotta, UHY Advisors chairman, along with the managing partner Thomas Callan, and a couple of guys I work with, Keith Moore, partner, and Jonathan Shoemaker. All-round good guys. A lot of people out there to help, but you got to go to them and ask for the help.